Sometimes I feel like I'm not talking with people, but I'm talking at people. Like I'm exchanging words with them, but they're not really understanding what I'm telling them. If I don't come across some kook who's preparing for the end of the world, then I come across some guy who finds something I said interesting when it deals with sex, something based like that. But then in the process of him describing his own opinions, he drops a word like justice. What the fuck is justice? Are you people living on this planet? I sometimes wonder if I'm an alien. What the fuck does the word justice mean? It's a human construct. What is just for you is not just for me. What's just about a lamb being slaughtered? What's just about somebody getting cancer? Where the fuck is justice? Are you people so fucking naive and stupid? Then we have the other extreme. This glee, this hopefulness for the end, for the destruction. As if the coming of the end will mean that somehow we get saved. Or there's also this death wish, almost this death wish accompanied with it. The world is so fucked up, but we don't like it, so might as well hope for its destruction. I think the basic problem here is most people think that opinions are whatever is beneficial to us. That is, in order for us to hold something to be true, it has to flatter us. It has to be something that offers us something directly. Otherwise, why believe that something is true, right? This is the most subjective bullshit I've ever heard. This is why most people, when they come across my views, they think that there's an angle to my to what I'm saying, that I am benefiting from it, either materially or psychologically, that I like what's going on. That's why I'm saying it, because you have to like what you're saying. Otherwise, why would you be saying it, right? So in order to have an opinion, it has to be something that you like. It has to make you feel good. Whether this this idea is the end of the world, or it's some bullshit idea about justice. Where the fuck are you children, you retards, being birthed? What kind of genetic filth do you come from? What kind of parents give birth to you? I don't understand it. The only thing that I came up with is this: it's sheltering. When you give the right to everybody to have a child, whereas in nature it's something you have to earn in order to procreate. It's an indication of your fitness. In this world, it's a right. You're giving a right to have kids. So every moron out there is having kids. If it is seeding some slut out there, every loser out there is seeding some slut and giving birth to a child, which he then raises to be a loser like him. And this is what's wrong with the fucking world. And it's not even only about intelligence, but analytical ability. It's about courage. Somebody so in love with himself or so afraid of dying that he's willing to buy into any bullshit in order to preserve this lie. Or he so hates himself that he's willing to buy into any bullshit that promises him relief from himself, that is, a death. And along with him, conveniently, the whole world comes, because he could not take the idea of him dying, whereas the world goes on and on without him. It's a case of misery likes company. So if you're miserable with who you are and what you are, then you kind of hope that the end of the world will come and that everybody will suffer along with you. But because you are prepared for it, then you will laugh in glee as you perish. This is the nihilist dream. Or because you're a douchebag, a moron, and you can't enjoy life, then you will not tolerate anybody enjoying life. Not anybody. There will have to be special rules set up so that nobody enjoys life. So every so often I come across to these douchebags, say, oh, what you're saying is right, but I'm not willing to tolerate crossing a certain line. I'm not willing to say that women are inferior to men, or they should have less rights than men, or I'm willing to consider that women might be so, but not racist, because I draw the line there. And somebody told me that you're a racist, but since you're a racist, I can't talk to you. I'm going to ban you, not because I'm afraid of you, but because it goes against my principles, which conveniently also saves me the effort of having to deal with you on an intellectual level, since I can now cower behind my bullshit and hide behind my lies and my cowardice and pretend that it's not because I'm a coward that I refuse to deal with reality, but because I have principles. This is the self-righteous angle. I refuse to deal with this because I have superior principles and morals than this other person. And because I can't deal with him, I will call him a racist, a sexist, or worse. I will call him a troll. And in this case, I don't have to talk to him at all. So anytime he talks to me, I can say, you're a troll, you are dismissed. And then I can return to my happy life of being a stupid fucking retard. So let's see if I got this right. Nature only works superficially. It only affects us physically. And if we're going to agree on one thing, it's that if it affects one thing, it's sex. So we can agree that, well, not all of us, but some of us, that there's a difference between men and women, but we have to drive a line there. We can't go any further than that, because it might be hurtful. It might go against everything we were brainwashed into believing. So we can't say that races are different, or that people coming from different backgrounds might have different potentials, intellectually, physically, or whatever, psychologically, because that would be simply wrong. It's immoral, right? So we're going to draw the line there, particularly when it flatters us. Because if we're of a particular race that has shown nothing in history, then we can hide behind our victim psychology and say, it's because we were slaves. Or it's because we were kept down, the same way what women do. It's because we're kept in the kitchen. Why haven't women produced any works of art, any revolutionary thinking? It's because men have kept them down. I mean, the same thing goes for African Americans, right? Why haven't any civilizations emerged in the sub-Sahara? Because the white man came and enslaved them. It was purely accidental. The fact that the white man dominated, or that man dominated women, it was purely accidental. It has nothing to do with nature. Just a matter of dumb luck. And these people are the victims of bad luck. So according to these geniuses, life is like a casino. We all enter with the same potential for winnings, and some of us just happen to have an off day and we lose, whereas others have a good day and they win. And that's all nature is, just dumb fucking luck. So then we have to feel sorry for the person who lost, and we have to comfort him and give him some of our spare change so he doesn't feel so bad about his losses. But more than this, we have to be good winners. That is, we don't gloat, we don't brag, we don't tell him why he lost. We just say, we're just bad luck, that's all it was. And that, as one person once told me, the universe will balance itself out. That means if you have a run of bad luck, then eventually you'll have a run of good luck. In the universe of the retard, this idea makes sense. That means that if you flip a coin 100 times and it comes out heads, let's say 80% of the time, then it's going to come out tails eventually, right? Because the universe has to balance itself out. And this is what kind of retardation we're dealing with here. And if we have a run of bad luck, then we're going to hope, we're going to dream, we're going to expect the end of the game, so that our luck doesn't seem so bad after all. I can't even imagine how many times the end of the world has been predicted. Ever since a man had a soapbox and he can jump onto it, he preached the end of the world. Ever since Jesus Christ, God was coming, his wrath. Now we have this the Mayan prediction that in the end of 2012, the end of the world is coming. Or we have the nuclear. If it wasn't during the Cold War, now we have another aspect. It's terrorism. The end of the world is always predicted, particularly by those that have the least to lose. That is the youthful, adolescents, ones who were brought up by bad parents or had no parents, so they have a vengeance against anybody who had it better than them, or from losers that couldn't cope with the world, couldn't deal with it. So instead of saying that I couldn't deal with it, they imagine, they hope, they dream of the world coming to the end, so that their own nature does not stand out so much. This would be like somebody playing blackjack, let's say, and he got a couple of bad hands, and instead of walking away from the table saying that, it wasn't meant for me to win, he wants the game itself to end, so that nobody plays the game again. The thing with people like that is, even though they pretend to be above the social norms, to have overcome them, to be separate from them, they still judge themselves in accordance with them. So they cannot stop but identifying with this term humanity, and they cannot stop identifying with the values that the system offered them. This is why they cannot walk away and just observe and laugh. They have to dream about vengeance. The system has to collapse for them to feel vindicated, because their entire identity is wrapped up in the system, either by adhering to it completely or by rejecting it and opposing it and wishing its destruction. In either case, it's the same thing. You're totally controlled by the system. You're totally indoctrinated. When you dismiss something and you can't let it go, and instead of observing it with a sense of aloofness, you cannot help but hope that it's destroyed, because you feel in relation to it that you've been wronged, that some injustice has been done to you. This is why these movements like the MRA and the feminism don't attract people that have overcome sex, but it attracts usually people who have been wronged by sex, by the rules of nature, so much so that they want to avenge themselves. They can't help but hope, dream about some utopian outcome where they get the last laugh, because no matter how much they want to turn their backs to it, they cannot avert their eyes. They cannot help but associate themselves with the very values they then pretend to be above or to have overcome. I give the example of Tarzan as a metaphor. Tarzan finds himself amongst the apes. He's a human. He's something different, superior to them intellectually. Does he hate the apes for being what they are? If the apes reject him, does he feel hurt? Perhaps because he has no other alternative, or because he's not a very aware human. But if he was to be an aware human, would he look upon the apes with vengeance? Would he want to avenge himself upon them because they rejected him, or because he couldn't find a communion with them, being that he was so different and so above them? Would he dream of their destruction? I don't think so. Would Tarzan, in his wrath for being so alone, for feeling so wronged by nature, by his bad luck, will he dream of the jungle being burned down, of the whole world coming to dust? I don't think so. Which brings me to anarchists. Now, anarchists are hyper-masculine boys who are so dominated by the system, they feel so wronged, so weak before it, that they dream of its destruction. Not because they want to return to chaos, but because they want upon its dust, upon its rubble, to build their own order. Which is ironic, isn't it? They dream of a chaos they don't know they can cope with or that they will survive. And then they expect that upon the rubble, they will build a new order, a better order, which ironically will not exclude some of their friends who also dream of annihilation. I mean, you can't only have one alpha dog, right? How many alpha dogs are you going to have? So when the world is destroyed and the system collapses, then what happens? Will all these anarchists be free? No, because whenever there's one or more people, there's a hierarchy that's built. And whenever there's a hierarchy, there's domination, there's control, there's a demand for conflict, there's suffering.